Pra cima, joga a bunda 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 pra cima. Joga a bunda pra cima, 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 joga a bunda pra cima. Joga a bunda pra cima, 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 joga a bunda pra cima.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Soccer's Overtime, your weekly look inside the San Diego Soccers and the Major Arena Soccer League. I'm Craig Elston, joined as always by Tony Sanchez from SanDiego.Futbol. How's it going, my friend?
It is going really well. I miss the Soccers. They've been gone for a while. You can tell they miss us. We'll talk about them here, but hey, it's been a very lonely January for us here at home and indoor soccer action.
Yeah, it's good to know that in a couple of Sundays, we're going to actually have our team back. Like, the Soccers will play a home match. They're not purely, this isn't the COVID season. It's not just a traveling road show. But maybe they learned something from that season. We've got a full show for you tonight on this Season 8, Episode 9 of Soccer's Overtime. We're calling this one Wave It Off. Wave it off. Take that game. Wave those points goodbye. Wave it off. Our special guest coming up at 6:30 will be Drew Ruggles. He'll join us live, fresh off scoring his 100th MASL goal. We'll chat to him. But also on the show this evening, Soccers go to Milwaukee. They play like a very tired team. We've got the lowlights from Saturday's blowout loss. They aren't pretty. They may even be considered embarrassing to some, but we'll go through them nonetheless, and we'll try to be as kind as possible. As mentioned, we've got Drew at the bottom of the hour. Then in MASL news, is it a big three and then the other five? We'll take a look at the standings. Is that starting to crystallize as a storyline in 2025-26 MASL? We'll talk about that, but the thing you'll probably be more interested in, the Blast made an announcement over the weekend, and I got an official league response. And it may not be what you think. I will let you know what's the latest with the Baltimore Blast and CQ Arena and their continuing relationship. in MASL news. Then we'll get to soccer's news. We'll look ahead to 2 more road games, including tomorrow night in Empire, Sockers and Empire Strikers, and then a trip to that little baby arena in Baltimore on Saturday, and some roster rumblings on Soccer's news.
Okay.
All to come here on Soccer's Overtime, the show that you just can't miss every week if you're a San Diego Sockers fan or an MASL fan. As we get rolling, we want to say if you're watching our video, which is probably the preferred way to watch the show based on viewership v. listenership. It's the way most people interact with the show. Thank you for being here. We love having you here, especially our live audience. Thank you. From our live audience, can I please get a 1-to-1 ratio of humans watching to humans clicking the thumbs up button, the like button? Can we go 1 for 1 on that and get everybody to click the like button? Please do. It will help the show. It might bring a few more Sockers fans across the way before we come off the air. Everyone who's watching on replay, hey, please as well. Can you hit that like button too? It's going to help us out. Hit subscribe to SanDiego.Futbol. My goodness, they're doing crazy things these days. They're wild. They're crazy guys. You want to subscribe to SanDiego.Futbol. If you are listening to the audio version of the show, we still love you. We still love you so much. Please, if you can show your love back to us, a 5-star rating of any emotion or a kind written review, and or both. Do both. That'd be great too. Bobby Cressy provides our theme song. It's called Beyond the South Bay, and it's available on his album, Cali Native. Buy it on Bandcamp and give all the profits to Bobby Cressy. You can do that. You can do that right now while you're listening to the show. All right, that is the setup. That's what's on the show tonight. It's kind of wild, Tony, and I want to say it before we get started.
Yeah.
Because if you watched this match, it was obviously the Sockers at their worst. By 1 goal, they missed the worst loss in franchise history, which was 10-4 to Empire. At least they got that 5th goal. We learned convincingly on Saturday that the decision that was made the previous Sunday to go all out to get 3 points in Utica cost them the game in Milwaukee. I feel that very firmly. And I understand the reasons why they went for it in Utica. Because at 3-0, Boris Pardo said, I'm good to go. I can get it done. I already had to get loosened up for that shootout. Put me in. And then the veterans were like, play us. Who else do you have to play? You got to play us. But we talked about it. We even heard it from Adrian Reyes on last week's show. How, they fly in, they play the Baltimore, they fly in on a Friday, they play the Baltimore game on a Saturday night. Then there's shower, dinner, change, get the bus packed. A 6-hour bus ride by Google Maps is an 8-hour bus ride in reality. They show up at dawn. They're in the arena like 6 hours later, 5-6 hours later, they're in the arena to play the game. And then they flew back on Monday morning. So the team flew back Monday morning, was completely trashed and jet lagged Tuesday, Wednesday. And by Friday, they were on a plane to Milwaukee. And above the injury issues that have crippled the Sockers, which were compounded. The only word I can say is compounded by the loss of Charlie Gonzalez, who tweaked his hamstring in training. And it's not a full pull, is my understanding. So the hope is that even potentially this week, maybe he could be available if he passes all the tests, but they don't want him to get hurt in a situation where it is a full pull and you're looking at 4, 6, 8, weeks of downtime and then being concerned the rest of the year and not being able to push off and go full bore the rest of the year. So with all the injuries, Tony, to take Charlie out of the lineup, the guy who's had the best season by far, who controls the ball the most, who's at the top of the free kick, the top of the power play, to take him out, man, that is unplugging so much from the Sockers infrastructure.
He's the maestro that's been making it happen this entire season. And really that transition from defense to offense, the hustle, like He's been the full package. He's had an MVP type season so far, and honestly has been that player for the Sockers to rely on in clutch moments, not just this season, but going back to since he's stepped foot into this organization. So he's been a huge component of the success that the San Diego Sockers have been able to have consistently. And that's the thing, consistently. And Charlie has been everything that word is and embodies it every single day and is as consistent and steady-handed as it gets. Who is on that who's going to be able to step up? Who do you look to even potentially try to fill the shoes of a Charlie Gonzalez? And yes, that is definitely the smart decision to do, and just make sure that there is no long-term damage because or health ramifications, because that would be even worse of a situation to lose him for an extended period of time. And look, I think the Sockers are in a position where you're looking at the travel and the youth that should be able to keep up with this, and they're struggling. They're struggling by making these road trips, and you look at the roster, and you only have a couple of those young guys that are spry and should be able to hang in every single moment, and they're living the dream essentially of playing on the Sockers. And you know what? It's the veterans who I'm very concerned about, because it's mid-January. I'm not going to see my Sockers until February.
Right. Now, here's the other compounding factor. And anybody who's done any amount of winter travel that lives in our part of the country understands this. You fly from one coast to the other, but you fly from one climate to another. You fly from sunshine or fog to snow and ice cold and rain, and then you come back to sunshine, and then you go back into snow and cold. What's going to happen? You're going to get sick.
Enfermas, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to get sick. And unsurprisingly, an illness has spread through the Sockers locker room. And in particular, probably should have taken out their defensive captain, Cesar Cerda, on Saturday, who was suffering, let's just say, gastrointestinal distress in a pretty severe way. And yet he played the whole game and probably played 30 minutes. And when you watch this highlight reel, it might be the worst you ever see Cesar Cerda look in a highlight reel. And that's why I wanted to see it before the tape rolled. Because when you've got a team that's this bone weary, that's been through this much, and then they're sick, and then they go into another kind of polar climb. Eddie was there. He's in the chat. Freezing temperatures, actually snowing on the day of the game. To have the team not have the energy that they're supposed to, that's literally why I say wave it off. This was a game that was a schedule loss. And maybe you can beat one of the other five in a situation like this. But one of the best teams in the league, you're going to lose. And Milwaukee, make no mistake, is currently better than San Diego. Doesn't mean they will be at the end of the year. But right now, if I had a cap, I'd tip it, Tony. You have to. The Sockers have not been beaten this soundly by any team. I mean, you have to go back to like Vegas Legends or Monterey Flash. Even the Savage would come to San Diego and lose. Milwaukee came to San Diego, won by 4, went home, won by 5. So no one has treated this Sockers team as rudely as the Milwaukee Wave.
Yeah, that's the standard at this point of the season is Milwaukee, and they were waiting just to have this opportunity to come into Front Wave Arena and then to back it up at home. They did a great job, and yeah, I mean, was the decision to take the Utica victory for sure victory, because what would we have said had they not gone all out,
right,
lost at Utica,
and then lost in Milwaukee?
Exactly. And so I think, looking in a long-term perspective, I think the Sockers are on that correct path. Like, I don't think it's time to panic, but doesn't mean the highlights are pretty or not.
Well, let's go ahead. Let's rip the Band-Aid and roll them in, courtesy of Eddie Trujillo. The Sockers and the Milwaukee Wave from UW Milwaukee Panther Arena. Right away, you're going to see a terrible goal conceded. This is I'm not trying to point out, but again, you've had injuries cripple the lineup and bring in substitutions. Watch number 17, Juan Salazar, on this play as he is watching. He's just watching. Yeah, that's his man.
Yeah.
So when you have your back turned to your man, when you're watching the ball and then it goes over your head, whoops, that's the way to give up a goal. 1-0 Wave. Boris under pressure, great block there by Drew. That would have been a goal. He came out and gave it right away to a Milwaukee player, but it was not. 1-0. Here's a diving save by William Bonahene. Bonahene's athleticism was on display in this match and was not surpassed.
Yeah,
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, he's just one of my favorite goalkeepers to watch in the league. The way he does it and conducts himself is great. And here, you know what? Boris caught on the ground.
It's as simple as that. I mean, first off, the defense isn't helping him out at all. As you can see, Caesar's just kind of there. But as that ball is kicked away, just the reaction to be able to get up, not there. Now, look at that. Leaping save by Bonahene, denying a shot that would have gone into the upper V. Leaping save, able to leave his feet to make a key save. Not happening necessarily on the other side of the floor. There's Leo denying a potential goal. The Sockers will make a comeback here. Pacheco gets himself a nice little space, beats Bonahene to the far post, 2-1. Lead is cut. Nice run for Pacheco. He's starting to integrate himself more into this team, and it's great to see, Tony.
And it's really what you have to do with a good shot stopper like Bonahene, where you have to beat him on a one-on-one. He is athletic, but in those moments to make him decide left, right, center, you have to make him guess, and Pacheco does the correct thing there and just laces it through. Great play.
Good move by Boris right there. Double save, but then Steinwasser has the whole side of the net, and he just misses.
Not again.
Right, I know. Diving save by Bonahene. Another top-of-the-arc opportunity here. I like the little quad box going to NFL Red Zone, Milwaukee. I say stick with it to the live play. Here's Serta getting a chance to come in. Shot is blocked. It comes to Ruggles. Lovely layoff to Andrew Estrella, and congrats to Estrella for his first MASL goal, but also to Ruggles, who we'll talk to shortly and was sitting on 99 career goals and got the ball in the middle and realized the right play was to lay it off.
Yeah, Estrella has been developing nicely. He's been actually looking for that goal, having a couple of opportunities into this game, and you know, that's what you need in that moment. Just don't think about it. You just have to lace it through. It's very short quarters. And at the end of the day, if it gets blocked, it's probably a rebound to your own team. So very good job there by Estrella.
And then the two reverse sides, this one right through the wickets for Bonahene. As Julie V would say, better wear an apron next time. And instead, because there's no apron there, it goes right between the legs. And then, Drew does the Ian Bennett celebration. Did this unlock the mojo against San Diego? They give up 8 goals
on the logo.
Yeah, on the logo, dancing, doing Ian's. Well, look at this. It's like 30 seconds later. There's a goal over the head of Pardo by Derek Huffman. One of 2 he's going to put over Pardo's hands and head in this game. And the quick concessions after scoring. If there's one thing that's becoming an annoying, it's not exactly a habit, but maybe kind of a partial trend. Like when the Sockers aren't going well this year, they score and they give up a goal within the next minute. Here comes Estrella. Almost a brace. Right post and out. Then, good save by Pardo. He's going to have to punch it out. Giveaway. One of a couple of really bad giveaways by Nick Pereira in this game. They lead to counterattacks, and here is just a goal that, you know, in a different circumstance, you'd say this is unacceptable. Yeah,
no, it just looks like a transition play there that didn't need to happen. And here, I mean, Milwaukee is a well-oiled machine. Those are some instances that you just cannot give up. And, Yeah, no, it's just keeps going. And with giveaways in the midfield, in transitions, a team that can turn it on in a dime like Milwaukee's able to do, it's going to be a lethal combination. And again, you're looking at those tired legs. You're looking at those veterans, those minutes, not just the minutes and the miles per hour, the miles that these bodies have given you, but throughout the seasons now, look, it's catching up, unfortunately, for the Sockers.
5-3 from 3-2. A chance for maybe 5-4 right at the very end. It didn't quite come together for San Diego. Still, at this point, at 5-3, you don't think the game's over. I mean, the team came from 3 goals down the last 2 games. So you're like, okay, let's just get back in it. Let's get some big saves along the way. There's just another miss and then a goal blocked by San Diego. But Milwaukee actually missed a couple 3 open goals here. Pacheco gets blocked, but Juan Salazar dinged his defense earlier. There's a nice left foot. Put the laces through it. Ruggles identifies him. Second assist of the game for Drew, who did set himself up well. He's like one of the few people who show well on this tape. Pretty good that he's our guest. And there it is, 5-4. Now you're thinking, okay, we're right back in this thing, but we're not. This is just tough. The save was made, but it was spilled. And then the Wave play Rondo around you. That's 4 passes for all just bouncing them around the San Diego players. There's the save. Couldn't been controlled. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's in just like that. And now it's 6-4. A little bit of a change in momentum. The momentum is going to change completely as the game wears on. The Wave just continue to find opportunity. Great shot.
Yeah.
Great shot. Derek Huffman, first 2 goals of the year. Huffman currently out of anger management and on the scoreboard. And all of this is good. He reads it. He plays it first time. I think this one's probably unstoppable. Even the freshest, youngest, most athletic keeper probably sees that one go in. 7. There's another leaping save by William Bonahene. 8 minutes left. Leaping save. William Bonahene denying the upper V. Impressive. Here's the spin by Flores. Goal. That was after the Sockers pressured on the other side of the field. Slow on the comeback. Sockers go to 6 attackers. This is the worst 6 attackers in Sockers history. Right here. Okay. Goal. Took like 10 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, there's no Charlie. Cardenas is trying to be the 6th attacker in that circumstance, But look, that's a second just breakaway giveaway by Nick, who didn't have a good game. He got shut out. And the older players generally did not produce any points in this game. Here's a good layoff by Tavoy. And Pacheco gets his brace. So that's nice. That avoided worst loss of the franchise. Solid, because Milwaukee's going to score again. And it was on a set piece. And they just blasted it in. It's coming up here, Saucy Sanchez, for 10-5 after we see the Pacheco goal. Nice goal. It is. Nice goal. It's good to see Pacheco really getting it in, and Art Kramer just absolutely doing sorcery right here, saying, you'll never see Boris Pardo give up 8 goals. Oh, how about 9?
Yeah.
As it just goes right past him. But again, he was still setting up the defense. They just shot. Could you stop this shot?
No.
Like a bullet going by.
Yeah, it was a rare moment. I'm just like, even I, in my, nobody does that. Put 2, 3 Boris Pardos there. That's going in. It's good to see Pacheco also going in like he has. I just want him to go ahead and enjoy his goals a little bit more. Like, he did a lot of scoring in over in Baltimore, but sometimes didn't mean much. But I want him to go ahead and feel success in this team. And, I want him to keep that head up, and hopefully he moves in that same direction. But boy, some of those were rough watches.
Yeah, they really were. And again, that's why I'm throwing this game out. I'm throwing it out. Now, they come back and play poorly tomorrow. They if 2-2 becomes 2-4 on the road trip, that's going to be tough. But yeah, these are the cards that were dealt. Who said you needed to deal these cards? Other teams aren't going on 6-game, 4 cross-country, 3 back-to-back road trips. The schedule was made by AI. It's nonsense. It's nonsensical. And other teams do have weird stuff, but this is just the pure sign of a schedule that should have been thrown out. And if you want to call it excuse making or, baking it all in for the Sockers, you can. I'm telling you the God honest truth. I don't think you can beat a top team at the tail end of playing a schedule like this. Like it's that difficult. And what the toll that's been taken on this team physically from the travel, never mind playing 6 games in 20 days, the travel is taking an impact. And it's supposed to take an impact. It would impact you. It would impact me. It would impact anyone in this audience. If they traveled the way that they did, they would say, I am not leaving my house this week. I'm not even going to the store. Like, I'm not leaving. No, you're on another plane on Friday. You're on a bus on Thursday and you're on a plane on Friday. That's life in the big leagues, right? That's in this case being the Major Arena Soccer League. That's life in the MASL. And other teams do have trouble. Tacoma flies the most of any team because they can't drive anywhere. So they have to fly to every game they play. So, I keep these things in mind. They'll have a bad road trip later this year that will sink their season. It'll just happen. That's the way it happens. But for this club, this month is that test. And to be 2-2 at this point, I just really wanted to emphasize how much, it was a single game this week. So you're like, what's the matter? What's the matter is it all adds up. It all adds up, and the check came due in this particular game.
Yeah, this would have been difficult for a healthy team, a healthy young team, to do this road trip and get the results that the Sockers did. Again, I don't think looking back at this, we would necessarily be mad last week at 6 out of 3 points. Excuse me, 6 out of 9 points
Right.
consecutive, like in these consecutive road trips. Like it's good. You don't want to see it, but the reality is that's the reality. That's where the Sockers are. Healthy Sockers would also struggle in these conditions as well, let alone a incredibly battered lineup as we've seen the Sockers take. And yeah, I mean, it's clear. Like I even give credit to some of those plays that they were able to do, those goal line saves on defense, and some of these efforts that they were able to muster in Milwaukee against a good team. And that seemed like a fair result for what we saw. A battered, tired San Diego Sockers team and a wave that's been inspired. And you know what? They look like they are the best team in the league, and all credit to them as well.
Yeah. Now, do I think our Final Form team can beat them? Yeah, I still do. I think they can. I still think that there's a Final Form for the Sockers that we haven't seen. But I do think the 2-2 here, Boris went on an incredible run. He went on an amazing run, and he spent a lot of fuel in that amazing run. And on Saturday, the ability to jump to, 4 goals went over the head and hands. Bonahene was jumping like he was on a pogo stick here, there, and everywhere to deny those types of goals. Imagine instead of having to ride one goalkeeper, one of the greatest keepers ever, but a guy who's 41 toward the tail end of his career, riding him every game, every minute. What if you had a fresh Chris Toth who hadn't played that was in there?
Yeah.
What if last weekend, instead of going Pardo, Pardo, 10 minutes of Lindquist Pardo, you had Pardo Toth or Toth Pardo. And the other guy could have gone ahead. That's what this team is built on, is to always have one of the 2 best goalkeepers in the league fresh. Not just available, fresh. Now you're seeing what would have been the case if you didn't sign Chris Toth. And if you had just Boris and Nate Lindquist the whole year, and Boris expecting to play 24 games and 60 minutes a game with maybe a couple of layoffs, like, you'd see a guy wear down. You know, if you ask Craig Childs to play full forward shifts game after game at 41, he'll either get hurt or wear down, because that's how the game works. It's not designed for 41-year-olds to be fresh. You know, if a 53-year-old was out there, he'd be destroyed. That's me. You know, or if like Paul Wright wanted to run out there, like, it'd work for a few minutes and then it wouldn't. So keeping these keepers fresh is going to be a key in the playoffs. It's going to be a key when you play Kansas City 5 times at the end of the year, which is when the shield is up for grabs. It's in that Kansas City gauntlet that you're going to have a chance to beat them 3 or 4 times in a row and take over the entire table. You need to be able to go at Kansas City, Pardo, home, Toth, at Kansas City, Pardo, home, Toth, you know, like back and forth and back and forth. And that's how this team's supposed to be designed. And if that comes through, that's going to be huge.
Yeah, and usually the criticism for teams in this, you know, in this wave of injuries or whatever, it's, hey, you know, let's be reactive. But no, let's not be reactive. Let's be proactive. The Sockers were proactive. They did plan for this situation. It just so happens to be one of the worst injury spells that you can't predict. And even then, the Sockers had the depth at the beginning of the season to really do exactly what you're saying and really play into the fact that they have youth, they have experience coming in, but they still have those middlemen, essentially, not the super veterans, but the MASL veterans that know how to get the job done in season, get themselves healthy. Those are the guys that are out. And you know, you just have a scaffolding of what the Sockers could potentially be, and you have an opportunity to see that ramp up. And I'd be concerned if the Sockers were peaking right now. If right now we would see the best version of the Sockers at this point of the season, that's not for anybody. Why? Because you need sustainability, and by the time that the end of the season comes in and rolls in, everybody should start coming in, ramping it up, and building that chemistry that we've seen.
Well, while we wait for Drew to get settled in, let me bring up something that I could have brought up in Sockers news, which is one of the issues that's bedeviling this club right now. The Sockers are 2 for 12 and 0 for their last 8 on the power play. And that puts them dead last in the league. You know, and we're used to them being first, second, third in the league in power play. So what's the deal with the power play? Well, I would start by saying, look to these games played and look to the Kings League, because the guys who you would have on the power play, guys like Costa, guys like Morales, have been away. Charlie is the key to this whole thing. When you take him out of it, it's pretty tough. And then this is a stat I looked up and confirmed today, and it's pretty wild. You've seen most of the power plays, not every, but most of the power plays feature 3 forwards: Nick Pereira, Craig Childs, Tavoy Morgan. All 3 of those players are without a power play point this year. The 2 goals the Sockers have scored on the power play, Sebastian Mendez, who normally doesn't play the power play, and Keiko Gontan, who's not even here anymore, and presumably is back in Spain.
Oh, wow.
Because it's just been personal reasons. So I think he's just back in Spain. The 2 assists on the power play, Charlie Gonzalez and Charlie Gonzalez. So no goals, no assists, Nick. No goals, no assists, Craig. No goals, no assists, Tavoy. That's 60% of your power play most days.
Yeah.
And, you know, for Craig, and I'm not trying to like point out, but you are the captain, right? Like, you know, we've mentioned every success in your career. He came in this year to do power plays and free kicks. He's got 1 free kick goal in Baltimore, no free kick assists, no power play goals, no power play assists. So it hasn't happened yet for Craig. Doesn't mean it can't, We've seen him go on streaks of 8 straight games scoring a brace. And I could imagine it happening starting tomorrow, that he got a brace and he got on a roll, and then he scored a hat trick in Baltimore. And then the next thing you know, you're looking up and he's in the league leaders, and it's business as usual. And I could very much imagine that being the case. But to date, the formula has failed for San Diego, because you've got all these forwards. They're all having some version of the worst year of their career. Devoy is having the worst year of his career. Craig is having the worst year of his career. And Nick, who has put up points, is still not having a great year yet. He's been shut out as many games as he scored, pretty much. So this is where you can build this better. And it can be as simple as these great players who have been great their whole careers playing better, just succeeding more, hitting the net. Craig has probably missed more chances this year than I've seen him miss in halves of seasons, or full seasons when he was the primary focal point. He's missed a lot of shots. Doesn't mean he can't start making them, right? But we know how this was built to work.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those things aren't. The goalkeeping situation is not available. It's not online right now. So you're experiencing fatigue where you were supposed to have freshness between two veteran players. The forward situation has just not worked yet. When the team ran it through Nick for a couple games, he was putting up 3-4 point games. Then shut out the last 2 games, Utica and Milwaukee, back-to-back zeros. So, it's tough. He's integrating to a new roster, a new team. He's trying to get it figured out. But so far, these are the spots you can isolate and say, what can get better? This can get better. Craig can start scoring on the power play. He can start scoring on free kicks. Nick Pereira can start, facilitating more on the power play. Now, him being at the top of the umbrella in Charlie's spot, that's not his spot. We know his spot. It's low left corner.
Yeah.
So that's the situation for San Diego right now. The power play is unplugged. Counterattacks are online. When they give the ball up at midfield, they're having a hard time. This is a tired team. This is a veteran team that's been put through a travel ringer that's unique. And to be 2-2 is, for me, it's acceptable.
Yeah.
You go, oh, unacceptable. No, it's I accept, and if it winds up 3-3, I'm not going to scream bloody murder. If they go 4-2, if they get 6 points this week, holy crap. Like, that will have really been an accomplishment. That's what we'll look back on at the end of the year. We'll say they went through all of this hell and they got 4 wins out of it. With half the team gone, they got 4 wins. So fingers crossed. But I, if it sounded like I was like being negative or critical, I'm just pointing out the reality of the situation. There's some things that you would normally, as a soccer fan, say, gosh darn it, I'm mad. Why isn't the power play working? Well, take a look at this. Nothing from these guys. Charlie out. Players being reintegrated. Look at these numbers. It's not, the formula is broken right now. It doesn't equal out on both sides of the equation. So the fact that they're still collecting dubs is an incredible sign. That's a good sign. And that's why I say there's a final form of this team that is yet to be revealed. And I truly do believe that there's a Pokemon evolution version of this team.
Yeah, there's no question to the fact that the soccer's that's the criticism that would happen here usually. Sometimes at this point of the season is, are they really trying? No, you can tell that there is that effort, there is that frustration. There is those moments that you look at these games and you can say, hey, the Sockers are trying the best that they can to hold it together. All these players have been, are not happy about it either. You see the frustrations on Craig's face whenever his shots go sideways. And then you also see him kind of get into that same mojo area for him. And you saw with the assist last week, he had a beautiful assist that it impressed Adrian. Adrian Reyes was like wow, like that is a piece of quality. And it's just stringing those things together. It's really been the little things. If you take any offensive play or defensive play and take a snapshot of who is on the field in that moment, more than likely you're going to be missing 2 or 3 key pieces of their successes and their failures equally. And that's been the team this whole time. They've been able to go ahead and keep it together. And it's something that the players returning are then going to have an expectation of, well, this is what we've been doing. We've been breaking our back for this team. We've been holding it together. Now I need you to go ahead and be able to come into this same level of effort. And by that happening, I think that's when the Sockers are going to go into that next phase of the evolution of the end of the season Sockers that you're talking about. And hopefully we see their best games at towards the end. But for now, it's manageable. It's nothing to be panicking about. It's very manageable what they're doing. And the expectation is, you know what? This is also not the Sockers of 4, 5, 6 years ago either. Like, this is a team that has gone through a lot. This is a rebuilt San Diego Sockers team who made it to the finals last season in a technically almost rebuild year. A lot of players coming in together and wanting it more. And now there's integrations. There's different. Now it's an 8-team league. It's these little factors compound, as you say, and really add up to what we see right now with the San Diego Sockers, who are still one of, if not 2, best teams in the league.
Yeah. If you're worried about these all-time great players, like, to me, that's a comforting sign. Like, if there's one guy that you could count on to probably get it sorted and start putting goals in the net, it's the guy who's done it 505 times in his career. Like, that's probably the guy that you can count on. So I more than anything, I think that when you have the oldest team in the league, which is what we have, and there's just no question about it, when you've got the oldest team in the league, when you've got a team filled with 12-year veterans, when you've got like 8 different guys who've played all 12 years in this league, and then you go through a schedule like this, unprecedented schedule like this, you can't expect them to win it all. It's just not the PASL. You're not running into semi-pro teams of guys who just, drove the milk truck in the morning and then came to try and beat you at soccer. Like this, these are tough teams. Milwaukee's a tough team that's well coached, that's got players at all 3 levels, that's got an athletic goalkeeper, a great home field advantage. They're tough. They're for real. So take the L. Looks like maybe Drew, I know Drew had texted me. He was having a hard time connecting, but it looks like we have our man online now. Let's welcome him in. The 100-goal scorer in the MASL. Holy cow. Round numbers. Here comes Drew Ruggles.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Great, Drew. Good to see you, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Finishing up a day at work and getting ready and focusing for tomorrow.
Appreciate that. Yeah, big game coming up tomorrow. Big game coming up on Saturday. But, let's just start with the round number, getting it out of the way. Was it anything in your mind at all? I just gave you some praise on the tape because on 99, you laid it off to Estrella, right? Like, you didn't take that shot. You didn't just go for glory. So this must be nice to get that cleared out, though.
It was kind of funny. Before one of the games at home, I think it was our last home game, somebody came up to me and was like, hey, do you know that you're 1 goal away from 100? And no, I didn't know that. I honestly had no clue. Just was not something that was really on my radar. But of course, as soon as he said that to me, I was thinking about it. Not constantly, but there was definitely moments of like, dang, that one where I hit it off the boards, like that could have been the 100th to myself. Like that would have been pretty cool. But nah, man, it's I'm not really one who's big on accolades and stuff like that. So I think it's just a testament to, kind of my longevity in the league and the style that I play. And it's cool. And I'm sure I'll look back on it and be like, wow, that's, a pretty cool accomplishment. But right now, man, I just want to win. So 100 goals, 5 goals, I don't care.
Yeah, and I mean, I love that mentality of like, hey, we're here in the present. It's really cool to get you on that board, and congratulations on that. But what are your thoughts on this last game against the Milwaukee Wave on this road trip?
Yeah, man, obviously, not the greatest showing from the guys, and I think we're all aware of it. We've done a lot of soul searching, and we've kind of started to not only identify some of our areas that we need to work on, but we've started to implement those a little bit. It is going to take a little while I think, for us to fully gel, and we're seeing a Milwaukee Wave that looks like they're already hitting on all cylinders. It's a testament to what they've done in their preseason and the squad that they've built. And they're a good team. They're always a good team, every year, and they always are going to compete for a championship. And with it being Marcio's first year, it's a fresh start for some of those guys. And you can tell he's putting a lot of, trust in the young guys. And they're playing really well right now. Respect to them, respect to the, the way they kind of handed us one. Never feels good. But yeah, man, I mean, we as a group, right away kind of called out some of the moments in that game that led to, such a drastic score line. There was definitely moments in the game where we felt we were playing really well. We felt that, we were on the front foot. And, I think it just some, individual mistakes, some, collective discipline, things, all things, like I said, that we're aware of, and we're working through those issues. But yeah, man, it's never fun to lose by that score line and lose in that fashion. So, my hopes are that, everyone is, looking forward to the next match as like a get back match, regardless of the opponent, and to kind of just, right the ship and get back to where we know we should be and playing how we should be.
You've played in Milwaukee. You've played in Florida, corner of the country, where you're going to have to travel and fly a lot. Now you've played in San Diego. Is this month the craziest month of MASL travel you've ever had?
It's got to be. Absolutely. Without a doubt, the flying across the country, driving 8 hours on a bus through the night, to get at a hotel at 6 a.m. when you play at 3 is like kind of wild. I don't think you'll ever find a team that's going to openly be like, yeah, man, the travel's the reason why. But it does affect you. And this month has been pretty wild, across the board. From, we weren't really in the best place from roster depth. And then to go into these back-to-back, weekends, really didn't do us any favors. So yeah, it's been wild, but we knew that going into the season. We knew the schedule. And, we're up for the challenge. It's just a matter of, when we go on these road trips, can we come away, with results that we're happy with and that help us advance, through the season and keep us in a spot and in a position that we want to be in. So, yeah.
I mean, and look, it's been a lot of road venues for you, a lot of road trips, and I'm pretty sure you've scored a lot of goals in these road venues as well. Do you have a favorite one in all your travels in your career here?
Oh man, there's one that kind of sticks out in my head, and just because I have a little usually when I play my previous teams, I have like a little edge on my little chip on the shoulder, So like going back to Baltimore, this was actually a game I played in Florida against Baltimore. And it was just a set piece, top of the box, but soul rolled, banged it. Vanzello's in goal. Melo's sliding over the field. Adriano's trying to dive and block it. And that one just it just felt good, to get that kind of a goal in that arena against a team that, I used to play against. And those are always fun, man. But yeah, I mean, there's 100 I could choose from, right?
Drew, what would you say about the parity of the league? We're about to go into MASL news after you, and I feel like there's maybe a strata of KC, Milwaukee, and San Diego, but it does feel like the 8th place team can beat the 1st place team this year, kind of any given night, depending on how teams play.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there was this thought kind of going into this season that, everyone's got a better chance because Chihuahua's not in it and we've, lost some teams. But I think it's funny because you kind of saw this same, parity in COVID season when the teams kind of shrunk, but the rosters started to get better, So I think, this year we've seen it. St. Louis is kind of, hot take right now. It's really, you got to show up every game. And this year it feels like that more so than ever. Obviously, looking at ourselves, I think we still feel like we go into each game with the expectation that we should be winning. We know that there is an act and an action that needs to follow that thought process. But yeah, man, the teams across the board are playing well in their moments. Obviously there's a couple of teams that have kind of slowed down a little bit, maybe started the season a little bit hot. But yeah, any given day, man. And that's the beauty of the sport is you have to show up, you have to play. And if you don't, you get spanked 10-5 in Milwaukee.
Yeah, we don't want many more of those, and I don't predict any of those happening anytime soon, too. But I mean, looking at the trajectory here at the season, what do the Sockers need to do in order to go ahead and achieve that final form once everybody comes back to injuries and the absences kind of subside from there?
Yeah, I think that among this group, we kind of talk about ending the season in a place where we give ourselves a chance. We know that when that time of the year comes around, that it's a different animal. And we've got the guys on this squad who have been there before, that have won championships, that have felt the heartbreak in finals. And we know that if we can just keep chugging along and get to that point, that we will get ourselves into a position where we feel confident to win. We added a couple new pieces this year, so we always knew that it was going to be a little bit of a slow start trying to get guys to sort of gel together and be as fluid as we have been in years past. And it's just a matter of time. We're working really hard in training on developing that rhythm, and we're seeing little bits and little snippets here and there. And it's just a matter of, sticking to that and, coming together as a team and making sure the locker room stays tight and, just battling each and every day for the guy next to you. The team's got so much talent and so many guys, like I said, that have the experience and have been there and done it. I genuinely feel like it's only a matter of time. We're going to have that moment. We're going to have that aha, like, oh, this is all right. And then the caveat there is we can't go backwards anymore. Once we reach that point where we are playing how we know we are and we're, getting the best out of all of our players, we just can't have any room where we, go backwards and take steps back, having pushed so hard to get to that point. So, like I said, we're still on that journey. We feel like we've put together a lot of good performances, but we also know that we've left a lot on the table. And I think moving forward, the plan is to clean up the scraps and not leave any seconds. So we're working hard every day. We're sharpening the iron with the other iron in the group. And we feel pretty confident that down the road, we'll be all right.
Outstanding use of sports metaphor. If this was a trial for future broadcasts for the Sockers, you just did a great job. So I'll just keep that in the back of my mind. And then we'll move forward to just kind of wrap things up looking to this week, because I almost feel like it's a baseball series where you're facing a left-hander who throws nothing but curveballs, and then you're switching to a knuckleballer or something, because you've got the strikers who are going to pull the keeper and go Obasi 2.0 and do the all possession, grind the game to a friggin' halt. And it's 3-3 in the fourth, because heck, the last time you guys were there, it was 2-1. In the fourth. And then it was like bink, 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 a couple of goals. But you're going to do that where easily the scoreline could be 4 or less going into the fourth quarter. And then you're going to go to Baltimore where there's going to be 15 goals scored, like regardless of how well you play or how well they play. Like there's going to be 15 goals scored because you're going from to wee. Crazy pinball action.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a very different game plan. Obviously, we're fortunate to see Empire a ton. So while, like we've said, earlier in the conversation that, any given day, anyone can win, we feel confident knowing their game plan, knowing how they've been playing this season, we feel confident in that matchup. We've obviously got a very specific style that we play against them. But what's fun is, I think, as much as the fans may not necessarily like that style, I don't think a lot of people like playing against it either. So it is not the most exciting, but it's something that requires a lot of discipline and having a good game plan if you want to, come out on top. And the flip side of that is, like you said, a whole different style, using the boards, crashing the box, very traditional indoor style team. But the beauty of that is we train in a small arena every day.
Right.
So we're not new to this. Obviously, Chihuahua being a perennial contender and an opponent of ours, the small field doesn't scare us. We know that how they play, and like I said, it's just a different preparation. It'll be fun though, regardless. Love going back to Baltimore and scoring a couple goals out there.
Well, listen, Drew, all the best to Tristan and the fam. Thank
you.
you for coming on. Appreciate it. We will see you tomorrow up there in Ontario. I always like to make the trip up and watch from the absolute upper rafters.
You got an extra seat in your car? Are we carpooling up there or what?
Well, I mean, do you want to go golfing with me at 11 at Temecula Creek? Because that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna.
I don't know if you heard the word on the street, but I'm a new golfer. I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Well, you and Tony can
ask around.
I'm starting, Drew. So any tips that you have as a newcomer, let me know, because I'm barely gonna go hit my first ball. Like I'm that new. So
yes. Well, we'll have to get you to the Calafino Lounge and get you on the driving range.
Oh yeah, the sim. Yeah,
simulator.
It's a great point. Yeah, we got to get you up on the sim. All right.
Yeah, I will say this: you need to make sure you go with somebody who's not going to judge you or make you feel bad about those first 5 balls that you shank or don't hit. So if you want to go with me, I'm very carefree. I'm learning. It's fun. But there's a couple guys on the team who play, and they're like, "Hey, don't walk over my line." And I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But now, I don't know if I can take that up on you. It's a long road trip, but maybe next time.
Well, listen, what I'm hearing is that we should just do a round in February. Once you get done with all of this nasty road stuff, let's go hit the links in February and go have a good time, because that's how I like to play golf too, is just have a good time.
For sure. I'm in.
All right, brother. Enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Tony, Greg, have a good one, man.
You too. Thank you.
The great Drew Ruggles. Just one of the chill dudes in the MASL. Happy he's on our team.
Yeah, like that's one of those people who I've been seeing throughout the league and really paid attention to his style of play. And I'm like, wow, that'd be so cool if he made it here. And he did. And he's here. And he's, as advertised, a very, very good soccer player, but a very good person too.
He certainly is. Let's get to MASL news. Let's get to the final 2 segments of the show. All right, so check this out. If you follow the social media world, on Saturday, the Baltimore Blast had a story, and I don't know. I should go to BaltimoreBlast.com. Maybe it's somewhere there. Maybe they've got it up somewhere beyond their story. Because the only place I saw it was on a story on Instagram, which was an announcement by the team that they had extended their lease at CQ Arena. There it is. Okay, so it is on their website, which shows that they're very proud of this. So from Ed Hale, owner of the Blast, the Baltimore Blast is happy to renew our lease with Towson University, solidifying our position with Towson, which has been ongoing. Jeez, guys, which has been ongoing since 2017. This is kind of like the Bills congratulating their coach for doing an admiral job. Did you see that on Monday? Sean McDermott has done an admiral job, but now he's in the brig. We've gotten rid of it. Okay, anyways. Which has been ongoing since 2017. The Blast likes the arrangement that we have because of the beauty, efficiency, safety, and overall conditions of CQ Arena. We look forward to a continued mutually beneficial relationship. Signed, Ed Hale, owner, Baltimore Blast. Okay. Except at the owners' meetings back in June, the league, which includes Baltimore, agreed to eliminate the small side arenas. And Baltimore was one of the teams that agreed to a system in which teams had 2 years to get out of their small arenas and cannot host playoff games in undersized arenas. Okay, so I see this announcement, and I remember what the league announced itself, which of course was around the departure of Chihuahua. And just to put it back out there for someone who might be new, Chihuahua didn't necessarily leave because of this specific rule. Nobody knows because they walked out of the owners' meetings. They literally walked out. They ghosted dinner that day. But what's the deal? How does this work? How could this work? So, because I knew we were going to be on the air with MASL News, I reached out to a high-ranking league official today at the Major Arena Soccer League. And I asked, hi, I have a clarifying question. If Baltimore renewed their lease at CQ Arena, does that mean they are cool to keep playing there and to host playoff games there? I thought the league was transitioning out the small fields. Thank you. The reply was this. They could play M2. The further reply was, no one discussed or notified our office about a new lease.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That took a turn.
Yeah.
All right.
So is Baltimore planning to leave the MASL? Is this Ed Hale sticking his middle finger up to the league saying, oh, cool rules that I agreed to and our franchise agreed to. Cool rules you've got there. We are renewing at Towson. Now what? Ball's in your court, MASL. You're never going to turn us down. We're the 10-time champion Baltimore Blast. We're one of the 2 best brands in the league. You can't possibly turn us down. The league response was, well, you could play M2.
Well, I mean, the name still is in the league, I guess. Not really, but yes, that's interesting. That's okay.
Is Baltimore going to take on Sonora for the M2 championship? Will it be a small-sided league and a regular-sized league? Could Chihuahua be down there too, under a different name or the same name? But the big point here is that Baltimore either announced their intention, okay? They either announced their intention to leave by re-upping at Towson, or they tried to play a bluff. They tried to play a power play bluff of, what are you going to do now? You know, it almost as if Phil built a 120-foot field at Front Wave.
Yeah.
It's like, brand new arena, jerks. We're the suckers. You gonna tell us? But the league's response was, no, you actually did agree to this. So see ya. You know, move down a league. And I just think this is fascinating. You know, because we've always heard about the tensions between Ed Hale and the league, Ed Hale and Phil, you know, Ed Hale and everybody, and the truculence that's been a part of that. And then to get to this, it really feels like a thumbing of the nose at the league saying, "Oh, you think we're going to transition, huh? Here's the new arena. Yeah, the new arena search is over. It's the old arena. Here's a renewed lease. Now what you going to do?" Now, okay, they could come back and say that this new lease that we announced, it's for 1 year. It's a 1-year lease. We're going to be gone the year after next, and that's the 2 years that the league gave us. And we're going to be, the hunt is on, but that's not what they're saying. They're not saying we're back at CQ for one final year before we move to a regulation arena to stay in the MASL. They're saying solidifying our position. We like the arrangement that we have. We look forward to a continued mutually beneficial relationship. And maybe in their business model, they believe that if they played M2 or M1, they'll draw the same crowd. They play M2 or M1, they'll get the same, 2,000 plus people to come to CQ Arena. They'll get the same soccer groups to come. I mean, Ed, who has multiple times in his Blast ownership career tried to form a different league from the league he was in. Maybe he thinks if the Blast leave, MASL collapses under its own weight because you don't have the Blast to hold it up anymore. And then I can remake the league as commissioner and president. I can set the rules. I will get the owners I believe are committed to my vision of how indoor soccer should either grow or stay the same. And I will prevail. Business-wise, I will prevail. That could be their position. We're bigger than the league.
And what was that vote then of get Chihuahua to agree? Like, I agree to these rules. That vote then just means I don't want Chihuahua in my league vote, like straight up. Like that's what literally that just translates to. I don't want you in my league. I don't care. You're not here anymore. It doesn't concern you. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And yeah, that's
yeah,
it's interesting.
It's interesting. So I wanted to share that because, I'm not outing anybody, but like I said, that came directly from a high-ranking league official. So they haven't changed their stance. And Baltimore not only made this announcement, they didn't send it to the league.
You did.
I think that's an important part. I'm sure they saw it. I'm sure Jack Williams saw it and let everyone know, but like, okay, why wouldn't you send it to the league unless you don't give a about the league? Unless maybe you're planning to make your own league with your own rules. To be, put a pin in it.
Mm-hmm.
To be continued.
Wow. This league, it never ceases to amaze me. It just, the inner workings, it's almost like growing up now working in school, just like, how did we ever get an education? Just seeing how things work from the inside, like, how does this league been so successful all these years and had some good quality, entertainment and soccer, like incredible.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible. So that's where that is. As for the standings, I heard the MASL Monday guys kind of talk about this as well. Is there a big three? And maybe. I think Kansas City has shown you by going to Milwaukee, and look, they had the not lying in wait advantage, although they probably were in their hotel in Milwaukee on Saturday night. But Milwaukee had to play us and then play them the very next afternoon. And Kansas City took it to them, especially early in that game, and beat them. And that evened things out. And actually, for the Sockers, that was a great result. That was a great result for San Diego. If you're going to get your heads kicked in for Milwaukee to lose in regulation the very next game, that's pretty important. If you go to the bottom of that standings table, it shows you the MASL's tiebreakers. And I think it's easy if you go below 8 there, right there. That's the tiebreak scenario. Points 1. It's regulation wins 2, and it's wins 3. Head to head is 4th. Used to be first. So while I was pretty like, we've lost twice to Wave. Now Wave have tiebreak. Go back up. Milwaukee's played a lot of overtime. Right now, the Sockers have the same number of regulation wins as Milwaukee with a game in hand. So if they win tomorrow, they're in second place.
That's great.
Yeah. If they win tomorrow, they're in second place. And the Wave's good work is kind of undone. Just like that, with a loss to Kansas City and the Sockers beat Empire. So I see those 3 teams in some order finishing first, second, and third. And I feel comfortable in saying that. I think Milwaukee has proven without a shadow of a doubt that they're as good as anybody in this league. You know, Kansas City has had this weird front-loaded schedule. So they lead the league in all statistical categories. They lead the league in goals scored, but they're plus 15 over 13 games. They're barely averaging more than a goal win. You know, it's not bad. They're plus 15, but they're plus 15 over 13 games. You know, the Sockers were plus 10 over 8 before they got smashed in Milwaukee. So Kansas City knows that at some point when their schedule slows down, they're going to get passed by one of these 2 teams. And then they know they've got 5 games against the Sockers at the end of the year. And in all likelihood, that's going to determine, well, it's going to determine something. But I tell you what Milwaukee's hoping for. Milwaukee's hoping for those 15 points to get split 8-7. And then Milwaukee will host the playoffs, if that's the case. If San Diego and Kansas City beat each other up at the end of the year, Milwaukee will win the Shield. It'll be that simple because they won't do the same thing. So pretty interesting. Then you go below and you look at 4, 5, 6, and they've all got the same. They've all got 14 points. So, wow. And, you know, Baltimore and St. Louis are winning at home, losing on the road. Tacoma is winning at home, losing on the road. But they're actually winning at home until they just lost at home and getting their heads caved in on the road, getting obliterated on the road. Each one of their road losses has been a complete and utter annihilation. So I still think there's room for one of those bottom 2 teams. I still think there's potential, especially if Empire can get it together in the second half of the year after they finish playing 9 away. You know, this will be their 4th home game tomorrow night. Then they're going to be on the road until they get to 9 games on their road side. So Empire could fall even, you know, they could stay down there all the way till the last month and a half of the year and then come together with a bunch of home wins and push into a playoff position and push out St. Louis or Tacoma, who I think is going to continue to, you know, based on their trajectory, they actually lead the league in negative goal differential. Tacoma.
Yeah.
In the 4 spot. So they're playing like the worst team in the league, but they banked those 5 wins at home very early on. So, you know, it'll be interesting, but I do think there's a stratification there. Having watched every one of these teams, I put the top 3 in the top 3, and I put the other 5 in a bag.
Yeah, and it speaks to the parity that Drew was talking about too. Like the players know this, the players feel it, and they know that it's close quarters for everybody. And you know, much like the game itself, within the close quarters of the walls, is you get unpredictability and you get randomness sometimes, and you get just chances. And most of that randomness is going to come in that 4, 5, 6 position. But you know, it's very early for the rest of the teams in there to really see what they're going to be at as their final product, right? Much like the Sockers, they don't have the final version of who they're going to be. I'm pretty sure Empire is also not the final version of what they're going to be. And you saw it late last season. They made that push and made the final slot, and they got to playoffs, something that they hadn't done in years. So there's still a lot of season left for the teams at the bottom, but it's don't keep your eyes on it, off of it. Like, that's for the Sockers or any one of those top 3 teams. You cannot keep your eyes off of any of these bottom teams because they need it more than you. They need it more than you. They're fighting for their lives to make playoffs, and they're going to go ahead and surprise you with the win or two. And so just don't be that team, San Diego. Let Kansas City, let Milwaukee give points to these teams. Just don't be that team, San Diego.
Yeah, I mean, 0-2 this week, you can be in 6th place, like, because it's that close. Doesn't mean you'll finish in 6th place, but 0-2 this week, you absolutely could do that. So with that, we'll move to Soccer's news. With Drew, we talked about it, but this is such a stylistic, weird, all changeups, all fastballs, like the strikers are all curveballs and changeups. And the oddity of a team that vacates their net more than any team in history, but scores less and allows less than any other team in the league. Best defense, worst offense in the league. And they've changed it up a little bit, and they scored 17 goals in their last 2 wins. So does that mean it's different, or does that mean it was Tacoma? I'm not sure, because they got 10 and blew out Tacoma at home, and then they went to Tacoma and they won 7-6. Back and forth game. But is Empire out of system, or is it still Obasi 2.0? I'll be able to tell you from the top rafters, tomorrow night at Toyota Arena. I'm sure I'll do Craig walking out of Soccer's at the end on Instagram, and you can follow me at 619 Sports and Life, and give you my thoughts. But we had heard going into the previous Soccer Strikers game that they were going to move out of Obasi 2.0, and then they were right back in it after like 5 minutes. So I don't know. I don't know if Onua's got a different gear for this team. That would be a real shock if they came out in just a completely different system. But as long as it stays the way it is, I'm very comfortable taking the under in this game, whatever the books decide, and expecting it to be a slog and a game of positioning. That's Obasi puts you in a chess match, but not in a chess match where it's like grandmaster stuff. It's just like you got to follow the counter move. And if you just stay with it, they can't score.
Yeah.
But it's when you miss one move and let something open that they can get the opportunity to score. The last time the Sockers played up there, they stayed with the Obasi system the whole time. They just didn't allow that goalkeeper fly route up the middle or board run. Stinson's got 4 points in 9 games.
Yikes.
3 goals, 1 assist. That's Justin Stinson, man. Like, that guy's like 2 goals a game. And he's got 3 goals in 9 games. He's a third of a goal a game right now. So is the system killing Justin Stinson? Like, maybe.
Yeah.
Because as was described by Brian did a great job on the game where you were down on the sideline talking about it. You have to be so right as a field player, knowing your keeper's out of net. You can't make that risky board pass. You can't make that aggressive attempt to dribble a guy down and beat them 1v1 unless you know you have a guy behind you, because otherwise it's a turnover and it's a counterattack into an empty net. It's a chip goal, bing, bing, bing. So everyone bears the weight of the keeper coming up. And I hadn't thought of it that way. I thought the weight was on the defense because you've got an extra player to account for. But how many times do you see the ball turned over in indoor soccer, right? Like, you can see it turned over 4 times in a row. Team. But Ontario can't do that, because if they do that, they allow a goal almost automatically. Or at least it's like 50% that they're going to allow a goal on any turnover. So they have to be so precise and so regimented and so systemized. And because of that, it feels like they've just taken I don't want to say joy, but they've just taken the pace out of what they're doing.
there's no nuance in their play. There is no middle ground. It's either the entire team is on attack or the entire team is on defense. And exactly what Brian Farber is saying there, right? If you're Justin Simpson and you are known to go and have the ball and be brave with it, you immediately, and this goes for everybody, not just Stinson, everybody who loses the ball automatically becomes the first defender, regardless of where you're at on the floor. If you're in a corner, you lose the ball, you're automatically the first defender because you probably have a goalkeeper that's right behind you waiting to go ahead and just dash all the way back. But for players who aren't able to just to make that switch immediately, like it's almost a system that bodes best to have all midfielders on the field at all times because they can play some defense, they can play some offense, they can kind of transition things together. But if you have a player who's all attack, like Justin Simpson is, that does definitely blunt that edge. And, it's just a matter of confidence too. Like, I don't want to be the reason that our team keeps getting scored on because of my cavalier play. And a player like him just cannot have that on the back of his mind at all.
Yeah. So it'll be really interesting. They're always close. For 2 years in a row now, the Sockers haven't played a 4-goal game. It's been 3 has been the highest margin of victory, and that was like 6-3. So, and that game was 2-1 in the fourth quarter. So it's going to be close. It's going to be low scoring. It's going to be a grind. The teams know each other. The players know each other. Everyone knows each other's moves. And for San Diego, the single biggest question is, can you win and score without Charlie Gonzalez? Because I don't know 100% that he's not going to play in tomorrow's game. But from what I have heard, it is unlikely that he plays because it's one of those, you could risk it now and it could cost you later. And given how tough this schedule has been and how it opens up after this, it might be worth him missing another 2 games to get the opportunity to play the other 13 later this year, as opposed to you play 1 here, then you go to Baltimore, then it grabs you, and now you miss 2 months of games as a result. It's a sticky situation, but I think we've really learned how important Charlie Gonzalez is to an attack, especially when as we talked about, the forwards are just not there to kind of pick it all up and just say, don't worry, put it on my back, carry it. Now you kind of know if you don't run the offense through Nick, like, who are you going to run it through? Because Charlie's not there.
The numbers aren't like coming back in droves, right? Like, you're still not going to have a player who's going to be automatically miraculously healed or returned in this match. You have what you have. You're going to go with the army that you have, not the army that you want. And guys are hurt, and somebody is going to go ahead and step up. And I look to a player like Pacheco. Like, I want him to go ahead and be that player who is able to step into these moments and fill out into what he's supposed to do. And it's unfortunate maybe that he doesn't have the great players that are flanking him, and it's on himself. But we're unfortunately going to have to rely on more individual play than we have in the past, and that's not a great place to be as a team, because again, the Sockers thrive as team, as in team play. But individuals are going to go ahead and have to go ahead and really do some special things to get 6 points. But I think it's doable. But again, it's mostly the opponents. What strikers is going to show up against out?
Now, here's the good news. The Kings League guys are back. So Mendez is back, but also, from what I understand, scheduled to play all weekend, Gabriel Costa and Luis Morales.
Right.
So if you ask who could pick it up for Charlie, I mean, Gabby Costa could. He's a playmaking forward who could score goals if you don't have Luis Morales could. He's a goal scorer by birth. He's like just by nature a goal scorer. So getting those guys back could be huge. Sockers could make a choice as to whether they play multiple forwards or whether they play 1 forward or 2 forwards, two or 3. That could be a decision. We'll find out when the lineup comes out. And Chris Toth is not back yet, and I wouldn't expect him back for a little while. I mean, he said 6 weeks on December 30th, which would make mid-February the first potential target for return. But he's saying 6 for an injury that most doctors say 8 to 12. So will it be 6? Will it be 8? Will it be 10? That would be, mid-February, end of February, middle of March. Middle of March is 2 weeks before the end of the season.
Yeah.
So it's going to be Boris and Nate Lindquist for the immediate future. Now, the one thing I don't have the level of confirmation that I want to be able to say very specifically this, but I will say that I have heard that Kings League is not done with our team.
Ooh.
And in fact, that they're coming after at least somebody on our team and that they might just get him. That negotiations are underway.
Oh, wow.
For a player to spend the rest of the year at Kings League and no longer be with the Sockers after maybe this weekend.
Oh, wow.
So stay tuned till I hear it from the player himself. I like to give them the benefit of the doubt that it could be something that's been communicated as a maybe to the club as opposed to for sure for the club. But that could be coming soon for San Diego. So that's another thing. And then the team goes Saturday to Baltimore, which means they fly Friday to Baltimore and they play the exact opposite of the Strikers. They play the Blast. They play at the Baby Arena. As Drew said, this is a confident team at CQ Arena. They've won 3 in a row there by scores of 9-6, 9-6, and 8-6. So if you want to write down a score for Saturday, think about 9-6 or 8-6. But this will be the last game of the trip, and it'll be the 5th of 6 cross-country flights, with the 6th one coming up on Sunday when they fly home. How much will Thursday's game plus the rest of the month plus another flight affect the Sockers? Will it affect them so much that instead of winning 9-6, they lose 9-6, at Baltimore? To be determined on Saturday. I think San Diego has a great team to play in the small arena. And I think in particular, for a keeper who's older, longer in the tooth, it's a smaller area to cover. The angles are more important. And you're going to give up some goals anyway. So, it's just the nature of it. So, of all the teams, I feel like it's a huge advantage for Baltimore generally, their home field, but I feel like San Diego specifically was never affected as much by the small field in Chihuahua as they were by the altitude in Chihuahua, I think, and the caliber of team.
Yeah.
Baltimore is good, but we'll see. And that's all I got for tonight. We're at the 90-minute mark anyway, so I think that's where we're at. Now, screen will be back again.
I can't wait for them to come back again. We've been talking about them like they're not even here, and they are. And it just, I'm glad you're gonna go and see the boys up there tomorrow, though, in live play.
Right.
And I know a lot of people make that trip up there too. So hopefully, some Sockers fans make their way up to Toyota Arena and support, the kickoff to another long road trip for the Sockers, and hopefully see everybody out in action. This is usually one that everybody feels comfortable of. This against Empire.
Oh my gosh, I just realized I might have to hear that AI DJ prompt again tomorrow night. Hey, Strikers fans, I can't hear you. Oh my God. The joys. of the MASL. All right. Tony, let everybody know not only how they can support SanDiego.Futbol, but maybe very specifically support Tony and Chiva on their World Cup run.
Absolutely. So, as you know, we're here on SanDiego.Futbol. This was birthed for the sole purpose, but became much more, of going to the World Cup and covering it for San Diego. So we are launching our official our official GoFundMe. Help us achieve our World Cup dreams. It's incredible. People have actually donated, and we are besides ourselves. It's a long life goal. I can't even speak right now, just how much excitement this brings that it's actually happening. We've been accepted as journalists per FIFA, and we're trying to go ahead and cover the World Cup for San Diego and represent the city out there. Some players are going to be representing the city as well, but hopefully you can help us and make that trip over on GoFundMe. And I'll leave I think I can create the QR code here as well. You'll see it here. Right?
Beautiful. Please do. Everybody support these guys. Get them out there this summer. Who knows what countries you'll be covering? I wonder if they're all going to show up.
If they're allowed.
Different show.
We might go to other countries.
Yeah, that's a good point. Might not be a bad idea. Actually, it might be a good idea. All right. Well, you can follow me on Instagram at 619 Sports and Life. I'll do a report coming out of Ontario tomorrow night. You can, of course, support our show. If you are watching us on YouTube with the old thumbs up, hit the like button, hit subscribe. You can offer us a 5-star rating if you're listening to the audio version of this, or a kind written review. All of those things would be super awesome on your part. Tony and I are set to meet up with Alex Pena and do the Chromaniacs pretty shortly after this. That's our SDFC podcast, our weekly SDFC podcast. You can find that wherever you found this, including the SanDiego.Futbol channel for our video. You can find the Chromaniacs. And then lastly, of course, Padres Hot Tub, still waiting for the next big move to come for San Diego. It's all the other teams making moves. Kyle Tucker to the Dodgers, now Freddie Peralta to the Brewers tonight. But we chat about it all on Padres Hot Tub, so you can check that out as well. That brings an end to Season 8, Episode 9 of Soccer's Overtime. For Tony Sanchez and for Drew Ruggles, I'm Craig Elston. Thanks to you for being here from start to finish. And until we speak next time, go Sockers!